Okay, thanks, Ryan. I really appreciate everybody being on the call. Thanks for your interest in the Fever. And I think I'd like to start, first of all, with I'd like to congratulate Akeem Glaspie on the promotion over at the Star. That's terrific. Good for you. We're happy for you. And also just to thank you for your coverage all season long with the Fever in the Wubble. That was terrific. We appreciate it. So wish you all the best over at the Star. You're going to be running that place pretty soon, I hope.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay. No, Ryan mentioned a lot of excitement around here. We just opened up a new area in our facility with locker room, weight room, training room, like every amenity you can think of. But we're really excited about the improvements and addition to Bankers Life Fieldhouse. It's a great situation for our players. It's going to enhance virtually every aspect of their development and, a real home for them to feel like this is first class and we're doing everything the right way to help them be at their best. So just a terrific situation for us from a physical standpoint, helping them to be better physically, but also on the court, off the court, every which way you can think of. So we couldn't be happier about opening up this space in Bankers Life. And, we'll have players have the opportunity to work year-round on their game when they come into town right here in Bankers Life. And so we're just excited about that. I could talk a lot about last season and the Wubble and all that, but I think I'd prefer to just say that, it was a challenging year in many ways. We're pleased with the core group of players that we have. We've got most of our players under contract. We've got a few people here in the free agency period that we got a re-sign of our own. And then there's a few people we're targeting, on the free agent market. So it's going to be, a crazy time here for the next, few weeks. But we're excited about it, and we're looking forward to year two being something that we're going to build on year one and be better and challenge in the playoffs. That's our goal. Our goal is to win a championship here in Indianapolis. And step one is get healthy, get everybody together, playing well, playing the way we want to play, and win games and get into playoffs and then do some damage there and pursue that championship. So we're excited about year two.
All right. Thank you, Coach. And just to echo the statements again, congrats, Akeem. We'll miss you around these parts, but we'll let you start off here with Coach Stanley.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned the challenges in the Wubble, but has this offseason presented any differences or any challenges for you?
Well, everybody is not back to normal in terms of how you run your operation with COVID still being what it is. It's, the NBA is working through that process now, and all of the WNBA teams have had to work through it. It's affected overseas play in that there are not as many jobs. So you've got players who have gone over early, and then some who waited and just have gone over in the last few weeks since Christmas. And, it's all been very challenging. One of the things that's happened is that a number of players who went overseas, they left the safe confines of the bubble, and now they're out there in the world, and it varies from country to country that the type of precautions and protocols they have in place to protect people. And every team, I think, has had players get COVID since they left the Wubble. So as difficult and as challenging as the Wubble was, it was a great success. And one of the big successes is that virtually every player who was there stayed healthy and was able to perform. The biggest challenge in the offseason has been to try to stay COVID free. I mean, we've had a couple of cases. I know virtually every team has had to deal with this, and every country has had to deal with it. We've had shutdowns in leagues and postponement of games, just like you're seeing here in the U.S. with the colleges. So, that's making the off season more challenging for players to continue to develop and continue to make progress, where they need to. We're all hopeful that we'll be playing home games in our markets with fans. And, we've got some time now till we get to that point. And hopefully we'll start seeing, with the vaccine rollouts and more people getting vaccinated, that things will improve to the extent that it won't have such a big impact on everything.
Howard Megnell.
Thank you. Marianne, good afternoon. I have a couple if I could. One that's a little more specific to the roster. You guys over the last 2 years obviously have added high-end picks in Tierra and Lauren Cox. The good news was they played very well together. If you look at their plus minus their net rating. The bad news was you got to see them for about 46 minutes and change last year. I'm wondering, as you think about 2021, how confident you are that that is a pairing that forms a backbone, let's say, of what you intend to be in 2021.
Yeah, good question. I mean, we're very happy with both Tierra and Lauren, and look forward to helping them to continue to grow and develop. And, you know, Lauren's season was really affected by injury and the virus. And so, you know, to some extent, you know, she had a very short season. So we're just beginning to see her ability come to fruition. So, you know, I'm sure year 2 is going to be much better for her. You know, in terms of Tierra, she keeps getting better and better, and she's working hard in the off season. And yeah, I mean, we're excited. You can expect to see them both playing more in this coming season. And, you know, they're on a path. They're young. You know, we expect so much from these young players, and it's a tough league. You know, there's not a whole lot of turnover. You're playing against veteran players. It takes time. And I think people tend to forget that, you know, in the process, but we're very happy with both of them and think they can be very successful.
And so just the brief follow-up on that, if I could.
Sure.
You know, we talked a little bit about this at the end of last season. You guys were 12th in the league in defensive efficiency, right? So when you think in terms of improving, and you touched on this in your answer, it makes a ton of sense. A lot of the improvement may have come internally, but when you are looking at free agent targets, is defense first and foremost in the way you're thinking about where you want this team to improve in terms of what comes from outside the organization?
No, I wouldn't say that. We recognize that we definitely need to improve defensively. We were just not very good for a number of reasons. And, you know, it's my job to ensure that we're doing the right thing so that we can improve dramatically in, you know, this coming season. And we will do that by developing our own players, by adding the pieces to our roster that we feel are going to help us in that way. But I wouldn't say that's a specific thing. We're saying, hey, we need to go get, you know, somebody who's the best defensive stopper. I want players who are well-rounded and play both ends and who are strong on the defensive end. So that's a component of it. But, you know, you got to have people that have the ability to play solidly at both ends of the floor. And that's where our focus is.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Howard. Gabe Ibrahim.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Gabe.
So I wanted to ask about the facilities. So I feel like there's a bit of a facilities arm race going on in the WNBA. Do you think that's true? And how does that affect, you know, recruiting free agents and what you can do as a team in terms of player development?
Well, I don't know about an arms race, but what I do know is we have a fantastic facility. I mean, the PS&E has just done an incredible job of getting this facility updated, and you know, it's ongoing. You know, we're in a process right now, but what the amenities and the facilities that we can offer our team and any, you know, potential players that we target is a fantastic facility that's really geared to them developing in every way, in every facet, from the medical to on the court, off the court, the marketing piece, like all of it. It's just fabulous. And, you know, I think that makes us a desirable place to continue and further a career. So we're excited about it. Couldn't be happier. And like I said, you know, there's still some finishing touches in our area, but the building is still undergoing a massive renovation. I mean, it's called Field House of the Future. You can imagine all of what is going into making this just a show place for the NBA and the WNBA.
I had a quick follow-up. You mentioned that it's a place for players to work year round. Do you envision that being the case going forward, that players are going to be in Indianapolis year round when they're playing with the Fever?
Most definitely. I mean, that opportunity is there. I mean, one of the focuses for the league is to have the opportunity for players who decide that they want to stay stateside and not go and play in Europe. Okay, so what does that mean when you stay stateside? For us, it's going to mean we get to work with our players and develop them and have the opportunity for them to work with our coaches. So, they're in the gym, really working on their game, honing their skills, and then also being available to work in our community. And one of the things that is really important to us is that we're invested in committing to not only Indianapolis, but statewide, the state of Indiana. It's not the Indianapolis Fever, it's the Indiana Fever. And so we're committed to growing the game for girls and women in our state, and having players who are available to us 12 months out of the year is huge. So now, as a player has to think through what are the best options for their development and their game, and also for their families. They have a real choice. So, hey, if I stay in Indianapolis, man, I can get better at my game. I can be involved in the community. I can just grow in so many ways on and off the court, that it really, really is a desirable option and a desirable location to further your career. So we couldn't be happier.
Thanks, Gabe. Michelle Vogel.
Yeah, Coach.
Hey, Michelle.
How are you doing? What do you think now of what we've seen from the draft class? And obviously we don't know for sure who's going to be in it because there's still some draft eligible juniors. We don't know what their plans are, but do you feel like the draft class has gotten any stronger based on what we've seen so far from the college season, or is it similar to what you thought maybe before?
I think you go through this thing every year with the draft class. It starts out like, okay, you have, a list of people, and then certain people emerge. And then there's always people that kind of flew under the radar that then, come onto the list later. Typically, the NCAA tournament is a time when somebody really, really steps it up and plays well and works their way into the first round, for example. I think we will see some of that. I think there's a lot of potential players in this draft. What's different, and we've never seen before, is that at this juncture, we don't know who actually will be in the draft and who's going to opt in. The players are going to have to opt in because the NCAA has given them an opportunity to go back and stay in school and, not enter the draft. And we've never had that before. So I know at some point, I don't know if that date will be adjusted in terms of when they have to actually make that decision, but I think I'm sure the league will prepare a communication regarding exactly what the time frame is. But we're kind of in uncharted territory with respect to that. As far as the college scene right now, I can only imagine for a college coach, it's been pretty disruptive, to think, okay, today's Thursday and I'm going to play so-and-so on Sunday, and then come to find out, Friday morning, no, you're not, there's a COVID tracing situation, and, the game is postponed or canceled outright. And, the recent developments at certain places like UVA just canceling their season. I know it's a very, very difficult decision for teams to make, but all of which has made it more challenging to have players really develop the way they can and the way they should. And I'm seeing some really, really good performances out of a lot of people. And then I'm seeing, some inconsistency that wouldn't necessarily be there on a typical year, for example. So, there's some really good prospects. Who all is actually going to be in the draft? Of course, we don't know yet. And, we'll probably see some surprises. Both ways, those that decide to stay in school and those that decide to come out. So your guess is as good as mine, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Keem, get another one.
Yes, Coach, what did you learn about yourself after last year, either as a coach or a player? And as a person, not a player. And what was it like adjusting to life outside of the bubble? You kind of mentioned the comfort that it provided, but was that a difficult transition to just transition back into regular?
Yeah, it's a good question. The transition out of the bubble, was a big one. I mean, I started thinking about it, I guess, about 2 weeks before leaving. It dawned on me that we've been in this safe environment where everybody around you is tested every single day. And that's not reality other than in that bubble. I don't know of any other place where people were getting tested every day, and then you're confined to just interactions with those people. So it was like, okay, we're getting ready to go into the real world. And oh, by the way, the virus is more widespread and worse than it was when we entered this environment. So again, I kudos to the league for doing what they did to ensure everyone's safety. It was challenging, but once everybody kind of got into the routine, there's a certain security and safety that was felt. I'm sure a lot of people felt the same way I did, but coming back out of the bubble, the biggest thing for me year in and year out, regardless of any of this stuff, is that when the season ends, it ends abruptly. There's no like glide path into like a gradual, end. It's like, bang, you're in or you're out. And that's always challenging, I think. And, I know other people feel the same way, but then coming back to the reality that we've seen since September, I mean, it's been, heartbreaking to see the spread and to see that this thing has gotten out of control. And so I know everybody's had to adjust to that. Like for me, what I learned, my biggest takeaway from the season is that you have to be flexible and, you keep working to be at your best every single day. The challenge is to be better every day. The challenge is to keep your focus, keep doing the right things, no matter what. And that, most things are not fatal. Like you have to have a perspective that says, okay, I'm not happy with that result. Well, what am I going to do about it to make it better? And, we've talked on this call already about a few things that we need to be better at as a team. And, our focus is on doing that. Like we have to be better as a team. And we've been busy addressing the things that we need to be better with. So, again, for me, I feel like I'm a student of the game anyway. I'm always watching, whether it's international or NBA or, I'll watch a high school game, for that matter. It doesn't matter. I just love what I do and love working with people who are like-minded and just wanting to, enjoy the game and put as much as you can into it. And the challenge of, trying to be the best.
Howard, do you have another one?
I do. That's actually a really good jumping off point between that and what Michelle had asked you in terms of your process this time around, where getting live looks is obviously hard to impossible for a lot of the players, but you're plugged in a way that you've watched these players for years and years. I know you have a long runway with that. And so when you think about how you evaluate these players, I wonder whether your balance is a little different between this year and prior years, because it's a small sample this year, it's a weird sample this year, and how much your thinking takes into account to a greater extent what these players were last year before when you're evaluating for the 2021 draft.
Well, the hardest thing is, you start to, like how particular players play and think, yeah, they'd be really good. And it's, oh, by the way, they may or may not be available to you. So that makes it tough. Like we don't know which of those players that are quote unquote seniors or draft eligible are actually going to be there. We'll know when we know. So I think it makes you broaden the pool. And to your point, when you can't watch live games as much, I mean, there are restrictions around, watching live games. Has to be open to the public, has to be within a certain area, and that's it. So you have to do a good job looking at video. You have to talk to a lot of people. And, the thing is, it's a level playing field. Everybody's got to deal with the same thing. But it also makes you say, okay, given that that's more challenging and we may or may not see in the draft the pieces that we think we need to help us be better, like how can we get better? Well, it's player development with the people you already have. And then it's, the free agency period, which we've just entered. So, there's a lot that goes into that. And, I'm sure we'll see plenty of movement and, there'll be domino effects across the league as far as how that goes. But, suffice it to say that our goal and our mission is to be better and to compete with everybody in this league. And that's what that's what we've been trying to do.
probably doesn't hurt to have Cats doing live games and broadcasts as a little bit extra. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
well, that's nice. It's nice. And she's even had games canceled. So it's, everybody's still dealing with this whole thing of the game might be played this weekend, it might not. And the players might come out and they might not. So, I mean, again, perspective, be flexible, adjust, and do your best to be at your best.
Gabe, you have another one?
Yes. So what can you see in person that doesn't show up on tape?
Oh, so much. I mean, this is a game of, intensity and passion when it's at its best. And when people have it, it's palpable. I mean, you can be in a gym and you can feel it. Okay. I think there's also, you're looking at a virtual person through videotape, seeing them live in the flesh and how they interact is really important. And even physically, like, somebody's 6'3" and, whatever, certain body type, actually seeing it live gives a depth and it just gives a depth to it that doesn't come across on video. There's so much in a game that does not come through the lens of a TV, or the lens of a camera. If you're watching something that's not televised, but just the videotape from the team, some of that stuff just doesn't come through. So it's huge. The other thing is, and what I like is the ability to go see practice. That's a big thing for me because you see so much more. You see the trial and error. You see the interactions with all, everybody that's there, not just, what's going on the bench during a game. So there's a lot that conveys when you can see people live that just doesn't convey through videotape. And that's important when, we're making a decision that's affecting our team and our franchise. It's big. So you have to do your homework, and that piece of it has been mitigated by, this virus. And so, but once again, everybody's dealing with the same thing, but it does make it more difficult.
Zach Hughes, want to take us home?
Yeah, for sure. Coach, I'm just wondering, do you have a favorite part of the new facility? Like which room, which amenity you're going to make sure you mention in these targets?
Actually, I don't. There's so much to like. I love the locker room. I like the coaches area. I love the conference room. The training room is a trainer's dream. It's just first class top to bottom. The weight room is extensive and state of the art. So, I'm really, really excited because this is all going to help our players not only enjoy their experience, but benefit from being here and have every opportunity to reach all their goals because they have what they need year round to be their best.
And
Anything else, Zach?
We've kind of touched on it, but if you, as much as you want to elaborate, what is your top priority entering free agency in this offseason? Like, what's the number one thing you thought last year that you want to address in this period?
Well, I think we need to retain our players and then identify and target the people that we think can help us, improve and take it to another level. And then, just get after it. I mean, everybody's vying for the same pool of talent. And so, a little bit of an arms race going on, but, it's most important to us that our players that are in our core group, that we retain them, then we help them to grow, and then we add the pieces we feel like we need to add. So that's about the extent of what I can say.